It's just fucking insane. That's what it is. It's a thing that's bigger than any... there's some saying, I don't remember what the hell it is, but it's a thing that's bigger than the sum of its parts or some shit like that. At any rate, I don't think anyone that was involved originally, that was recording all this footage, had any idea what this thing was going to blow up into. And it blew up into a phenomenal docu-series, what the fuck series, just crazy story, really is what it comes down to. So, I'm not going to go ahead and further spoil anything that you haven't seen, etc. No, not etc. Not spoil anything you've seen or something of that nature. So, I will move on from it, but Tiger King, you have to watch it. It will, I'm not going to say it will change your life, but it will be something that you will talk about for a very long time. It's just the way it is. So the other thing that I will do this evening, I was talking with a buddy of mine earlier today. I'm going to leave that individual unnamed and the people that were there with us unnamed. But he brought to mind a story from Europe, and this may end up being a reoccurring theme on these episodes as well. Brought to mind a story from Europe. For those of you who don't know, which is probably a good part of my viewing audience, the last 3.5 years that I was in the military, I served in Germany. And not too long after I got to Germany is when they started saying, hey, you've got a lot of medical problems, probably going to have to get out of the military. They sent me to the Warrior Transition Unit in Germany. Normally at that time, normally that's maybe 8 month to a year thing. Then you get out of the military with retirement, yada yada. But because of not only the time, but my certain set of circumstances, the issues I had physically and mentally, and other things that there were, for me that turned into almost 3 years. So I went to this unit, and I will tell you much more about that later. But long story short, it gave rise to living in Europe with almost no guidelines and a whole bunch of great stories. So, one time, I went down to Oktoberfest with a couple good buddies of mine. Actually, it was a very good friend of mine and his cousin. We got in the car and we drove down to Oktoberfest. And it wasn't like, hey, we're going to go to Oktoberfest, we're going to spend a few days there, have a great time. It was like Thursday night, it's like, hey, so-and-so gets off of soccer practice at 8 o'clock on Saturday. Why don't we pick them up right at practice, go down to the opening of Oktoberfest on Sunday, do some Oktoberfest, have a good time. Hell yeah, let's do it. We load up in the car. At the time I had a Mazda 323, zippy little car, a lot of fun to drive on the Autobahn. Obviously manual. At any rate, we load up in the car. I grab my buddy. We go out, grab his cousin from soccer practice. Boom, 8:35 at night, we're on the way down. We drive straight through to Munich. It's a little bit over a 5-hour drive. Go to Munich, get there. It's like, oh shit, somewhere around, I want to say 2 in the morning. But in Europe, pretty much overall, especially in Germany, bars and clubs don't close till basically sun up. So we get there, boom, park straight up into a club, and the pre-Oktoberfest festivities have begun. We're in the club, we're having a good time, there's girls everywhere, we're doing our thing, we're dancing, it's great, fantastic time. So anyways, we have our good time, we hang out, blah blah blah, party till about I don't know, something like 6 in the morning. Go back to the car. We all pass out. We know that Oktoberfest is coming up in the morning. So we go to bed, or I'll go to bed in the car, sleep for a few hours, get up. It's like, all right, we still got a couple hours before Oktoberfest starts. What are we going to do? We're going to go find us, for lack of a better term, I will say, an establishment of ill repute. That's what you would call it here in America. Over there, it's a regular business. Business is normal. So we go over there. I'm not really interested in doing my thing. I have my reasons at the time, but we go there, and my buddy, his cousin, we all go in. We go in, and the girls are lined up. It's like 4 floors. It's kind of like an apartment building. Go in. Girls are lined up, 4 floors. Girl at every door. Blah, blah, blah. Do whatever. I'm going to leave that part to your imagination because that's not really what the story is here. So we go in. We're there for a considerable amount of time. Those that choose to do their things, they do their things. We're having a good time. I'm out in the parking lot drinking. Everyone's laughing, blah, blah, blah. So we get towards when we're getting ready to leave. I go back inside with my buddy's cousin. We're sitting there waiting for my buddy to get out of his encounter. Comes out. We're on the way out of the building. And it's like, oh shit. What's that? We come around the corner, we go to walk out of the building. Well, apparently, a customer had been getting a lot out of hand. They called the German Polizei. They showed up. And moments before we walk into this vestibule, if you were, the police sprayed this guy with pepper spray, basically. So we walk in, and we're just assaulted. I mean, it's still thick as could be in the air. So we stumble out, and we're choked. We don't know what's going on. All we know is that we smelled this a little way down the hallway. It's getting worse. Boom, hits us. Eyes watering. We're coughing. Shit's running out of our noses. Shit's insane. Come coughing out of the building, and we're over there. We're throwing up on the curb. We can barely talk. We can't breathe barely. So anyways, a good time later, probably 15 minutes later, we're out in the fresh air. We finally get our bearings. That's when we find out what actually happened, that an individual got a little out of hand, and he got pepper sprayed right before we walked into a room full of pepper spray, which was probably actually worse than the dickhead that got pepper sprayed. So, basically, what should have turned into a great morning turned into this awful experience. Pepper spray, coughing, throwing up, can't breathe, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so that's what happened on that particular excursion. Get back in the car. Fuck it, whatever, that's not what we're here for. Go back down. We're there for when the gates open at Oktoberfest. Parked the car, took pictures of where we parked because we knew what kind of condition we were going to be in after Oktoberfest. Parked the car, took pictures of where we parked, got to the gates. We're there, first thing, go in. Now, usually the tents at Oktoberfest, you can't get in. There's usually these huge waiting lists, reservations, whatever. But we get in, and immediately we go into the line for what they call the Hippodrome tent. Now, we know from talking to people, the Hippodrome tent is kind of where the hip, younger, cool crowd hangs out. We're like, fuck it, we'll try it, we'll get in line. We get in line. I don't remember exactly what happened. We're waiting in line. We end up sitting there talking to, I believe it was 2 sisters and a boyfriend behind us. They're all dressed up in the Drendo. We're having a good time. Yada yada. They start letting in the reservations and all that. They get to a point in line, there's like 18 people left to come in. We're like 14, 15, and 16. We make it in the tent. We sit down, can't order beer yet, whatever. Sitting there having a good time, talking with the folks that we've met. Finally let us order beer. We all order beer before our beers even get there. It's a 2-layer tent. Like I say tent, you can't imagine tent. This is like a circus tent. It's a 2-level tent. And here comes a band marching out on the top floor. So they come marching out. They all have their instruments and a full pint of beer. And I'm not talking bullshit pussy ass American beer. I'm talking like 9-10%. Actually probably closer to 10% Oktoberfest beer. They come out with their full liter of Oktoberfest beer, and I have never seen a group of people down beers quicker. Bottoms up, they down the beers, straight going to music. German folk music, had a great time. A lot more to that story. I'll probably tell it another time, but that whole experience was phenomenal. Actually, I know I'll tell the rest of that story another time, but the whole experience was phenomenal. One of the best couple of days I've ever had in my life. Like I said, I'll get into that story a little bit further on a different episode. So, I hope you enjoyed our time tonight. And now I will be signing off. It's me, Chris. Stay thirsty, my friends. Yeah!